Hey folks, it's a scruffy looking Tim Newman with Soft Light Studios coming to you from a fishing cabin across the pond above the Arctic Circle in Lofoten, Norway. Up here shooting from daybreak to dark every day, getting ready for our 2020 workshop that we're holding up here. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be an amazing workshop. We've talked with a lot of the locals and we found the perfect place to hold this workshop. So it's something we're really looking forward to. Even though I'm in a different time zone, it's still Friday, and Friday is Lightroom Day. And today we are going to begin our 3-part series. Might be a 4-part series. I haven't decided that yet. Anyways, our multiple part series on Lightroom's Crop Tool. The first part of this series is really going to concern itself with workflow in relationship to the crop tool, how to go through the culling process at a pretty high level, and how to get in and out of the crop tool pretty quickly. It, to me, is a critical tool, first thing that I do in my editing workflow, and it's certainly something that we think will be of interest to you. Hope you enjoy it. Here it is. All right, so here I am in Lightroom in a catalog that I have just opened up, and I am focused down on a group of images that were taken at a Yellowstone workshop late last fall. And it's important to note that I did specifically say I am focused down on these images. And what I mean by that is, whereas this catalog has 32,576 images in it right now, I, by virtue of the fact that I have this folder strip highlighted in white here, have focused my view of images in this catalog down to just the ones that are contained within this folder, these 16 images that you see noted right here. That, I think, is really one of the great features of the library module in Lightroom, in that I can take my attention and narrow it down to a very specific scope of images just by clicking on those folders over there. It's one of the things I love about the way the Lightroom catalogs are structured. Okay, so one of the first things I do after I have brought in a collection of images from a shoot is I go through and I decide what I'm going to keep. And conversely, by making that decision, I'm also deciding what I'm no longer interested in. Now, I'm not going to go through the specific culling process here. We have separate tutorial videos on that, but I do want you to get an idea of why I do this and how it relates to my cropping decisions. So here in the library module, I am currently in the grid view mode. If you're not there, you can simply click on library module, and then you can hit the G key, which serves as a substitute for this grid view icon right here. And that will take you to the grid view. And I want to start at the beginning of this grid view, so I'm going to click up here in the upper left corner. These images are currently sorted by capture time. So this is the way that the scene unfolded in the field, and I captured these images in this order. And once I'm at this position, I can double click on this image, and it takes me into loop view mode, where I'm now seeing the image in its largest possible size in the screen real estate that's available to it. And now I can use my right or my left arrow keys to browse through these images and take a look at them and decide which ones I'm really interested in. And as I'm browsing through here, this image right here captures my attention. I love the way that the elk is kind of perched up on top of the grass in this frame compared to the other ones. He's a little more alert, and he really looks like he's looking right at me, the photographer, which could be a good or bad thing depending on which lens you happen to have on at the moment. So this is the image that I have decided I am interested in, and just real quickly, going to hit that P key. I have put the pick flag on this image. Doesn't really do anything to the image, but from a sorting perspective, I can go back later and say, show me all the images that I have picked. And conversely, I can say, show me all the images I didn't pick, and those are the ones that are leaving town. Now, I have a decision to make, and the decision to make is whether or not I am going to crop this image. And it's an important decision from two perspectives. Perspective number one is purely about composition. It's me fine-tuning the image to the division of thirds, leading lines, balance, any of those elements of design and compositional rules that matter to me, I'm applying at this point in time with that crop tool. The other reason that this decision is important to me here is because if I am going to crop this image, it's the very first thing that I do in the editing process. And it's always the very first thing I do in the editing process. So you may be asking yourself, why is it so important to you to do this as the first step in your editing process? Well, the simple reason is because I'm editing to the histogram, and I'm always editing to the histogram. When I'm in the field, I shoot to the histogram, and when I'm editing my work, I'm editing to the histogram. Why? Because this is where I have the best possible chance of making a print with compelling quality of light in it. By monitoring the histogram, I am making sure that there are no areas in the image that are completely black, where I would see overly saturated black ink potentially lying on the surface of the paper. And I'm making sure that there are no areas in the print where I have no ink blending with the paper, thereby seeing some of the paper color showing through in some areas of the print and no paper color showing through in other areas of the print. And know it or not all paper has a surface color that's white, and that off-white color blends with the printer's inks to give you the overall tone of the image. So this is a critical first step in editing. Okay, why does cropping affect this? Well, imagine that you have an image and that you crop off 25% of the pixels in that image. You may be taking off 25% of the lightest pixels in the image, a bright border area that is distracting that you don't want. Or you may be taking off 25% of the pixels in the image, and they are the darkest pixels in the image, an area where it's just shadowy and it lacks detail, and you don't want that. The minute that you get rid of all of those light or dark pixels, your histogram is going to shift. It's going to change. Remember, the histogram is only the reflection of the distribution of tones in the image. So if I wipe out a lot of bright tones, that histogram is going to shift to the left. And if I wipe out a lot of those dark tones, that histogram is going to shift to the right, potentially shifting in or out of bounds. Not always likely, but certainly it's going to have an impact on the histogram, and it's going to redistribute tonality in that histogram. And that is going to go exactly against all of the other changes that you've made in the basic control panel, where you have dialed in changes in exposure, white point, black point, shadows, highlights. Your cropping the image is going to take all of those adjustments and basically shift them one direction or another, and potentially not in a way that you expected. So cropping is always first. Okay, so now that we know why getting to the point of cropping an image is such an important first step in our editing process, let's take a look at the way the crop tool facilitates itself in the Lightroom application. One of the things that I really love about Lightroom is that the crop tool is always available to me in the library in the develop module, and it's available to me via the R shortcut key. So if I hit the R key, I will immediately be transported over the develop module. The crop tool will be active. As I can see here, the crop tool panel is open and ready for us, and I will see the current crop overlay on top of the image. Now I say current crop overlay because there are multiple crop overlays available to you. We'll see those in a future video coming up here, but that's what happens when I hit the R key. And at this point, I have access to be able to crop the image, rotate it, size it, change its orientation, and there are a number of tools over here that I can apply to this crop that do additional, more advanced things. Now, if I made a mistake, decide, wait a minute, I don't want to crop, I can get out of here, one of two ways. The longer form way is to come over here and hit this icon here, which is our crop tool icon. I just click on this and it makes the crop tool overlay go away and it closes down the crop tool panel. Okay, so that's one way out of it. The other way out of it, I'm going to just go back into the crop tool here real quickly using that same icon, is to simply hit the escape key. Just like I didn't want to do this, escape, we're out of here. Okay, now as I said, it transports us directly into the develop module. If I didn't want to be in the develop module, I was still culling images, and I want to go back to that. There's a couple of ways I can do it. One is I can come up here and click on the library module in the menu panel at the top, or I can simply hit the E shortcut key, which will take us back to the library module. Let's say I want to go back to the library module, but I'd like to go back to grid view because that will give me a sense of where I'm at in this collection of images that I'm focused on right now. Simplest way to do that is to simply use the G shortcut key, which will take us not only back to the library module, but back to the grid view where we left off. Okay, this may feel like I'm kind of leaving you hanging in the lurch, but this is where we're going to stop with this cropping video for right now. I simply wanted you to know the thought process that I go through in terms of editing workflow. Crop is always first if I'm going to crop, and the R shortcut key is the quickest way to get over there into the develop module with that crop view tool ready to go. Tune in for the next video in the series and we will start to tear apart the crop tool and all the different ways that it works in your images. Well, there it is, folks. The first part in our multi-part series on the Lightroom Crop Tool. I hope that this video has provided you with some insights as to how and why I use cropping in my editing workflow. And more importantly, I hope it's uncovered for you some of the secrets and the efficiencies of using the crop tool in Lightroom, and that you can now, without hesitation, move quickly and easily between the crop tool, the development tool, the library module, and the grid view. I think you'll find that this knowledge and those shortcuts will significantly improve and speed up your editing process. Remember to click on the subscribe button down there, somewhere down there, and the little bell that lets you know when new videos are coming out. The next video in this crop tool series for Lightroom is coming out shortly, and I'm sure you don't want to miss that. And remember, as we always say, learning equals skills, practice equals mastery. We'll see you out there.